Tell me the truth. When was the last time you forgot something? It might have been as recently as this morning when you left your travel mug of coffee on the kitchen bench or went to the shops without shopping bags. There's a fuck ton going on, and we all forget little things all the time. But when it comes to your wedding day, that's a once in a lifetime event. It's one of the most significant and meaningful days of your life. You're surrounded by your closest family and friends. You're creating memories that will hopefully stay with you forever. And while you've likely put a lot of thought into the big picture, your venue, what you're wearing, and even your vows, you'd be surprised how easy it is to overlook some of the smaller yet absolutely crucial details. There's a lot happening. And with the whirlwind of excitement, it's almost inevitable that some of these things slip through the cracks. Let me save you the suspense. Something will slip through the cracks. Whether it's coordinating vendor schedules, packing essential items, or planning your post-wedding transport, forgetting to arrange just one of these can impact not only your day, but the experience your loved ones have as well. That's why in this episode, I'm going to walk you through 10 of the most easily forgotten and yet incredibly important details that can make all the difference. These are things that, if not planned properly, can lead to frustration, delays, or unnecessary stress on a day that we're trying to make amazing, right? Let's make sure you're not leaving anything behind. Let's get stuck into it. Unbridely is a community of pro-wedding vendors who believe in freedom and integrity in weddings, giving you options, solutions, tips and tricks to create the experience and memories that you and your fiancé really want and deserve. Because we believe that weddings are a team sport. With how-tos, stories and interviews with recently married couples, we find out what went right and what they'd change if they could go back and do it all over again. I'm Camille, and welcome to the Unbridely podcast. Welcome, mate. Thank you for joining me. I get asked a lot what the biggest mistakes are that couples make. What are the things that they forget? What are the things that they leave too late? And so this is my list of the 10 things that engage couples easily and often forget to do, plan, or coordinate for their wedding, including why they matter. Because I don't know about you, but I'm sick of people telling me you should do this, you should do that, you should use this particular product, or you should be sending your kid to do this. Fuck off. Tell me why it matters, and then I'll decide whether or not it's important to me, right? So let's work out if any of these things are important to you, and then you can work them into what you're doing to plan your wedding. The number one thing, and I think it could possibly be the most important also, is creating a realistic timeline for you, your vendors, and any breaks. So let me explain. Developing a detailed timeline for your wedding day or days, God help you if you've got a multi-day wedding celebration. You need one or many that allow you to enjoy your day while giving your vendors, your wedding suppliers, enough time to do their jobs properly. This means including buffer time between key events to account for any delays, and also scheduling any necessary vendor breaks for long events like for your photographer, for your DJ. And also you want to be including time in your schedule, literally time it out, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You're including time for private moments, for connection, for you and the person you just married to be able to look at each other, to be able to hear each other, to be able to go, holy shit, this is it. You want to relax. You want to relax even if it's just for a moment and take it all in. Now, why is this important? Well, I'm sure you must have heard, but I don't know, it feels deafening to me at the moment that I'm hearing all the time that the most common regret that a newlywed couple has is around the mismanagement of their time on their wedding day. It's the things like drinking too much too early because you need to factor in time to eat some breakfast, some lunch, a bit of an afternoon snack, and you actually want to eat dinner too. It's amazing. And, if you don't factor in the time to eat, the effects of drinking too much too quick on an empty stomach, it creeps up on you real quick. Planning for that late night snack, that's important. Spending as much time together and with your guests, super important. And with that, every couple differs on what is enough time to spend with your guests and what is enough time to spend with each other. Now, you want to be chatting about this well beforehand, like really early in the piece of your planning, because you want to know what's a good balance for you two. Let me explain. For some of my grooms in the past, they don't love that time before the ceremony when they've got 100 people crowding around them, coming on up, shaking hands, chunking them on the shoulder, asking them all types of stupid questions. Do you know those questions? The number one, are you nervous, mate? Fuck off. Like, seriously, that's the best I've got. That's the best I've got. Are you nervous, mate? And then the second most, I was going to say most popular. It's not popular with anyone, but it's the one I hear all the time. Do you think she'll rock up? Thanks. No, I think she's going to stand me up in front of all of our friends and family, and I'm terrified of that. And thank you for bringing it to my attention again. So these are two of my personal faves, and these grooms are trying to field this idiotic interaction without their favourite person in the world who makes every social occasion okay, their future husband, wife, spouse. They're not there. If this situation is what you can imagine and it makes you cringe, for those types of people, I recommend only coming out to the ceremony space about 10 to 15 minutes before kickoff because you want to minimize those awkward and very unhelpful interactions. But in the same breath, some of my grooms live for the 30 minutes they get to say hi to everyone as they arrive and laugh and hug and shake hands. And they're almost surprised when I go up to them and say, okay, it's time to go. And they go, oh, it's having such a great time. Now, only you know where that line is. And once you recognize that, you can plan out your time to suit you and the kind of celebration you want most, that kind of social environment you thrive in best. Also, time spent doing things like a room reveal, which is only a few minutes with the two of you. And if you've got a planner or stylist or coordinator, and you might have your photographer, videographer, or content creator there. But when your reception space is ready to welcome your guests and the lights are dimmed and the music is playing and the candles are lit, and you have that chance to walk through the space that you've been imagining, you get to soak it all up and revel in the experience before your party starts. It's a really special moment. And while it might only mean 10 to 15 minutes in your timeline, it needs to be accounted for to make sure that it happens. Anything that's a priority to you needs to be factored in to this magical timeline. If you want more help with creating your wedding day timeline, have a listen to episodes 64 and 65 for part 1 and 2 of the 6 most frequently asked questions will make or break your wedding day timeline with Luke John Photography. I'll pop the link in the show notes too, so you can just click through and listen to those episodes 64 and 65 after this episode. Okay, forgotten thing number 2 is arranging vendor meals. Something for your photographer, your DJ, videographer if you've got one, planner if they're there, to eat, to sustain them. Those who are working long hours, of course. You'll need to ask them what their dietary needs are in advance and include them in your catering headcount because well-fed vendors will perform better and feel more appreciated. This is so super important because of the length of weddings, which here in Australia, when it comes to a micro wedding or an elopement, it might only be a few hours. But in what I would consider a standard Australian style wedding, people are starting to get ready from 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and they're going through till midnight. Now, the photographers might not be with them at 6 o'clock in the morning, but they're rocking up about 10, 11. They're doing 12, 13-hour days, roughly. And while the DJ might only be going for 8 hours, that's still a full workday. Planners, they're going all day long as well. Skipping meals or not having a designated time to eat can reduce their energy. It reduces their focus. It affects what they do. It affects their performance. When vendors are hungry or fatigued, it also might affect their ability to, in the case of photography, capture moments. It might make it harder to manage logistics if they're a planner. Or if it's a DJ, MC, it might affect how they keep the atmosphere pumping, lively, exactly what you want. Forgetting vendor meals can also mean there are delays in your schedule. So if they're not planned, they might need to head out and get their own food during the day. This can cause unexpected delays. They might need to step away from the event at crucial moments. They can leave gaps in your coverage. If they're gone during key times, like speeches, cake cutting, important moments of your big day might be missed. In addition, without clear arrangements, vendors may not know when or where they're supposed to eat. It leads to confusion on the day. And when a couple provides meals for their vendors, it fosters goodwill. It's hospitable. It's a positive working relationship. It shows that the couple values the vendor's hard work and dedication. And forgetting this can make wedding suppliers feel overlooked, which can affect their attitude. If you need to know more about wedding vendor meals and how and why, have a listen to episode 40, Wedding Vendor Meals Explained, how and when to fuel your dream team. And all questions are covered in that episode. Okay, number 3, preparing final payments and tips, gratuities, if that is part of the wedding culture where you are, and have them in labelled envelopes. So you're compiling all final payments and gratuities ahead of time and assigning, delegating the responsibility to someone to hand these out to your wedding vendors on the day so you don't need to worry about it because you don't want to worry about it. Believe me, please. So it could be the best man, maid of honor, could be your coordinator. It needs to be someone you're going to trust. Why do you care? Because getting this together in advance, having it in labelled envelopes, delegating it to someone, it reduces your stress on the day. The last thing you want to worry about is tracking down payments or tipping vendors. And so by preparing final payments and gratuities in advance, you avoid the stress of handling money on the big day. It frees you to focus on enjoying your wedding. It makes sure the vendors are paid on time because some vendors require final payments on the day of. And if you don't, it means there could be unnecessary complications. There could even be delays of their services and of their deliveries. So having payments ready means that everyone gets paid promptly and it avoids any awkward conversations or disruptions. There are certain cultures here in Australia where tips are given and they're appreciated, but it's not as commonplace as somewhere like the United States, for example. So I know in the States, gratuities tips are a way to thank your vendors for their hard work. And if you have them prepared in advance, it demonstrates thoughtfulness, organisation, they feel appreciated. It's a positive professional atmosphere. Commonly forgotten thing number 4 is to steam or iron what you're wearing, your attire, everyone's attire, the day before. Take care of steaming delicate fabrics like your veils, dresses, and ironing sturdier fabrics like shirts no later than the day before if you possibly can. avoid doing this on the day itself to reduce that last minute stress. Now, some stylists are going to be steaming linens on the day. You don't want to be in that room, okay? Because why is this important? Have a think about it. Think about your hair and makeup and the room environment. Steaming and ironing, where hair and makeup is taking place, is a dead set nightmare for hairstylists and makeup artists. So the steam, the warmth, the humidity in the air, it can cause makeup to not set properly. It can streak. It can flake. For hair, hair loses curl quicker in humid environments. It can become frizzy. The steam and or heat from an iron will also warm a room, which can make everyone sweat more easily. And finally, it looks bad. It looks messy in any getting ready photos, having an ironing board set out and an iron and people running around doing that. And, people are steaming like on hangers in the background. Keep it out of that room if you must do it on that day. But I'd highly recommend it gets done the day before if you possibly can, because it avoids last minute stress. Your wedding day is hectic. You're trying to fit a lot of shit in there, and trying to steam or iron outfits on the morning of the wedding, it can add unnecessary pressure. If you come across problems, so like a stubborn wrinkle or a malfunctioning steamer, it can not only disrupt your timeline, it causes people to panic. And then that has a knock-on effect. By handling any steaming, ironing the day before, you reduce your stress and you have time to fix any unexpected problems that might happen. In addition, ironing or steaming delicate fabrics under time pressure on the wedding day, it increases the risk of accidental burning, tearing, creasing items. Taking care of it in advance allows you the time to handle these fabrics super carefully and avoid potential mishaps. And as I mentioned, your schedule, it's going to be tightly packed. Small delays can snowball into larger issues. By getting the steaming and ironing done beforehand, you free up your time and keep your focus on enjoying the day, sticking to your timeline, doing the things you want. Forgotten thing number 5 is to break in your wedding shoes. Most people are buying brand new wedding shoes for their wedding day. Beautiful, love it. They look fantastic. They're a special purchase. I know some brides are getting these gorgeous, gorgeous shoes that they would never buy in their entire life, but they go, do you know what? It's my wedding day. I've always wanted that particular brand, that particular style. They go get it. So you want to break in your wedding shoes 1 to 2 weeks before the big day by wearing them around the house if you can, on a carpeted surface where you can, because remember, there's a few nice photos that you can take with the soles of your shoes, for example. You want to wear thick socks with them. You want to stretch them out a little bit, just that warmth of your feet and a little extra padding of your socks. It's going to help prevent blisters. And you can scuff the soles just before the wedding to avoid slipping if that's what you need to do. But you've also then got the opportunity to take some beautiful photos of the soles of your feet in these beautiful new shoes. Now, why is this important? You're going to be testing for stability and safety. I know. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds crazy. Stick with me here. Shoes with slippery soles or high heels can pose a very real risk of slipping, especially on smooth surfaces like dance floors, especially if you've got the dry ice machine going, or church aisles. By breaking in your shoes early, you can identify and address any stability issues. You can scuff the soles at the last minute to create better traction, and you can further reduce any risk of you coming a cropper and falling over because you're not familiar with these new shoes. As I said, you can prevent blisters and discomfort. So your brand new shoes, especially formal ones like heels or dress shoes, they cause blisters, they can cause sore spots, discomfort if worn for extended periods without being broken in. By wearing your wedding shoes around the house in advance, you can soften any stiff areas of the shoes and make them way more comfortable for the wedding day itself. We're making sure that you can move comfortably because on your wedding day, in a way, I wish it wasn't so much of a faux pas, to wear your iWatch, your smartwatch, like on your wedding day, because you are going to be doing so much standing, walking, dancing, moving. I'd love to see the step count. Breaking in your shoes beforehand ensures you can move comfortably without worrying about sore feet or struggling to walk gracefully. By the time you get to 8:00 and you're just staggering on through, it's going to help you. And I think maybe the most important part of breaking in your shoes is that it gives you confidence in your look. Because when you're comfortable in your shoes, it boosts your confidence. So then you're more confident as you walk down the aisle, as you pose for photos, when you interact with your guests, when you're not distracted by pinching or discomfort, or you're going, oh God, this feels weird. You'll feel more poised and confident throughout the day. And that has a massive knock-on effect to enjoying yourself. If you had a sweary, chocolate-addicted, wine-sipping fairy godmother who could help you with your wedding planning, what would you wish for? Perhaps no more waking up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, wondering what you've forgotten, or fretting about your RSVPs. Maybe no more spreadsheets or post-it notes or endless to-do lists. Well, I can help you with all of that. Wedsites is an Australian wedding website builder, guest management software, and wedding project planner all in one. Why is this such a game changer for you? Well, imagine everything to do with your wedding being in one place, updated in real time in the cloud, shareable to anyone else that's helping you, password protected for your guests, with notifications to tell you what needs to be done next and by when. It's amazing, right? I love how easy Wedsites is to set up and use, and how there are no ads on the platform yelling at you to spend more money on your wedding. To get started on your very own free wedding website, just head to wedsites.com. That's WEDSITES.com, and enter the code UNBRIDELYPOD, that's UNBRIDELY POD, to get 10% off their paid planning tools. The link is in the show notes. Number 6, compiling that damn contact list. The one that you said that you were going to pull together. So you want to collect all of the phone numbers for all vendors, for all members of your wedding party, and an emergency contact. You want to be distributing this list 1 to 2 weeks before the wedding so everyone knows who to call if any issues crop up. If you've ever helped at a party where you're the contact, you already know this. But if you haven't, this is why you should care. Having that contact list means there is way quicker problem solving. On the day of your wedding, unforeseen issues, I was going to say they may arise. What a load of crap. They will. Things are going to happen. It might be a wedding vendor being late, a wedding party member getting lost, or a mix-up with logistics. When you have a comprehensive contact list, it lets you or the designated person who's in charge of that quickly reach anyone necessary to resolve issues in real time. The quicker problems are assessed and fixed, the better the whole day becomes. It's going to reduce the stress for you again. So by creating and distributing a detailed contact list ahead of time, you can delegate responsibilities for whether it's, communicating with your wedding vendors, addressing emergencies, it might be your wedding planner or another family member. It allows you to stay focused again on enjoying your day rather than putting out metaphorical or real fires. It also keeps everyone informed. Sharing the contact list with your wedding party and key players means that everyone knows how to reach each other if necessary. Timeline adjustment, emergency, quick question. This communication helps everything run more smoothly and avoids confusion and panic. It can prevent delays and it can save time that is sometimes wasted to locate missing people, which can, lead to the veritable black hole on your wedding timeline. And emergencies, like a medical issue, an unexpected event, it can happen at any wedding. I don't want to freak you out, but life still happens. Gravity's still in place. Having emergency contacts readily available means that you or someone designated can swiftly get help or make important decisions in a crisis. Number 7, confirming details with your wedding vendors a week before. Contacting all of your wedding suppliers in the week leading up to the wedding to confirm their start times, their addresses, any other last minute details. And, it's at this point where I would say wedding planners, coordinators, you are worth your weight in gold because this is what they're doing. They're rounding up the troops. They're making sure that everyone is expecting the same thing, that they're anticipating the same wedding that you want. This extra step, if you don't have your planner, your coordinator, means that everyone is on the same page and it helps prevent miscommunication. Why is this important? Because, and say it with me here, because when we assume it makes an ass out of you and me, and in addition, confirming start times and addresses with vendors, it helps avoid problems about when and where they need to be on the day of the wedding. Because the day is often tightly scheduled, even small errors in timing or location details, where they can park, it can cause significant delays or confusion. It means that all your wedding suppliers are fully aware of their responsibilities and the timeline, and it reduces the risk of vendors showing up at the wrong time, to the wrong place, not having the right setup information. Sometimes vendors may not realise there's a mistake or an oversight until closer to the wedding day. So by proactively reaching out to confirm details, you give them another chance to flag any potential issues that they might have just seen or noticed, or they can ask for clarifications, which means that potential issues can be resolved before the day. Excellent. It also gives your vendors time to adjust. So if you've made any last minute changes to the schedule, venue layout, if you're confirming these details, they've got time to change their plans accordingly. So whether it's arrival times, different setup requirements, it helps everyone be prepared. And it lets you sleep. It gives you peace of mind. By taking the time to confirm everything with your vendors, you can feel confident that you've set yourself up for a smooth, well-coordinated event. Easily forgotten thing number 8, and this is coming up a lot at the moment, and it is to create a photo shot list and to designate a photo captain. Planning out a shot list outlining the order of photos that you want taken and the combinations of family members and friends you want photographed is so important. Even in smaller gatherings, in smaller weddings, when you go, it'll be easy, we'll just call out and we'll make it up as we go. Please don't. Please. It takes so much time. I don't think couples before their wedding day understand how much time is wasted, generally after the ceremony, when they want to have family and friend photos, group photos, etc. So typically, the group photo with everyone, if you're having one, should be done first. Unless there's someone who has like special health needs, they need to have a photo taken with the newlyweds and then need to get out of there, for example, or can't stand for very long, things like that. When you're having one side of the family photographed, it's often easiest to start with a larger group. So all of the, Smiths. Can we have all of the Smiths and 60 people come on and you have a photo of them, and then you can whittle it down, to just cousins, to just mum and dad, to mum and dad and grandparents, whatever it might be. You can whittle it down from there and you're not constantly trying to find people to add into the group. You want to designate this photo captain, someone who knows the guests well. They know who your auntie is, they know who your best friend is, and they can make up the rest if they need to. This helps to gather everyone efficiently rather than just having someone yell out names. It's a very tedious and slow process if you do it that way, just by yelling out names and not having any relationship with the people that they're trying to gather. If you need more info about getting your photo list together, having a photo captain, head back to episode 38, which is called Yes, You Need a Photo Captain or Two. And this is why, with Valentina Perez Studio, for all the ins and outs, who is a good person to choose and who is not so great. I'll put a link in the show notes so you can go straight to episode 38 because it's an important thing to get right. And you also need to remember, the longer your photo list is, the less time you get to spend with your guests. It's definitely an element that can affect your enjoyment of your entire day. Forgotten thing number 9 is confirming your post-wedding transportation, accommodation, arrangements, whatever it is that you're doing. Pre-arranging how you're getting home, to the hotel, to the airport, for the end of the night, whether you're heading off to your honeymoon, having reliable transport sorted, someone who's sober to drive you ahead of time, make sure you've got a smooth exit when your day comes to a close. And this is why it matters. Again, it avoids last-minute stress. After the excitement and the energy of your wedding, the last thing you want is to deal with an issue with trying to get out of there or accommodation problems. By confirming these details ahead of time, you make sure you have a smooth and stress-free transition from your wedding to your next destination. It can be your accommodation for the night, your honeymoon departure, it doesn't matter. It prevents delays. So if transportation or accommodation hasn't been properly confirmed, you might be facing unexpected delays or miscommunications. You could be standing around waiting for something that doesn't arrive on time, or discover that your accommodation booking wasn't processed correctly, or that you need to check in. Confirming in advance prevents these potential problems and just lets you have a beautiful end to your day. And when you think, especially during peak wedding season, transportation services like your ride shares, your limos, your taxis, and hotels, they get booked up real quick. So you're making sure your booking's secure, no last-minute surprises, no unavailable rooms. And if anything about your post-wedding plans change, like a different pick-up, drop-off location, an adjusted timeline, confirming these arrangements a week out lets you update your vendors and make sure everyone is on the same page. Again, smooth, less stress. And commonly forgotten thing number 10 is creating a detailed and checkable packing list. I don't think, personally, it's enough to start throwing things in a bag and going, yeah, I've got it. I think you want a list. Creating a packing list 1 to 2 weeks before the wedding to make sure nothing is forgotten is crucial. So important. Most of the packing should be done during the final week, with only your last-minute items added in on the day. So there are things going in at different times. There are maybe clothes, pajamas, whatever, going in ahead of time, and then more last-minute things like toothbrush, hairdryer, skincare going in closer to the day, maybe on the morning of. You need a list. You need to know where things are, whether they're in the bag, whether they're yet to be put in the bag. You want to be including essentials like flat lay items for your photos. So your invitation, save the date, menu, jewelry, perfume, shoes, it keeps going on. And of course, an overnight bag with your toiletries. And please don't forget your emergency kit in a separate bag. Have a listen to episode 110 emergency kit must-haves for your wedding day, and I'll put the link in the show notes, so that's episode 110. Completing the bulk of your packing early gives you the mental capacity to deal with any last-minute issues that might crop up the night before or the day of. Thinking of things like cake knife and server if you need them, like pens for your guest book if that's appropriate, reserve seating signage for your ceremony, bathroom baskets for your guests. You're stocking restroom essentials. It's a really thoughtful touch. I had, for our wedding, handmade, I went a bit extreme, but anyway, I handmade large concrete bowls that were filled with mints and floss sticks and tissues, mini deodorant, mini hairspray, pads and tampons, and a little frame sign next to the mirror that read, "Let's face it, mate, you're looking as good as it gets. Now get out there and dance." Yeah, your ring box or dish or pillow, it just keeps going. Why this is important is pretty self-explanatory, but in case you need more reasons, having this checkable list of things that you need to pack, to take with you, it prevents you from forgetting important items. There are so many fucking details. It's easy to forget things like wedding rings, shoes, personal things like your driver's license, your passport if you're going to need it, an overnight bag. A detailed packing list means you don't miss anything crucial, helps you stay organised. You're skipping that last minute panic again, and it also means you've got a smooth overnight transition. So lots of couples, so many couples, forget to pack an overnight bag for after the reception, your toiletries, a change of clothes, personal items for the next day. So including this on your packing list, it helps ensure a smooth transition from your wedding to the hotel or honeymoon, whatever it is, without having to return home or rely on others or pick up things from the shops on the way. And so to quickly recap the 10 things that are easily and most commonly forgotten when a couple plan their wedding. Number 1, creating a realistic timeline for you and your vendors and any breaks. Number 2, arranging vendor meals. Number 3 is preparing final payments and or tips in labelled envelopes and delegating it to someone you can trust. 4, steaming your delicates and ironing sturdier fabrics the day before if you possibly can. 5 is to break in your wedding shoes. Number 6, compiling a contact list and giving it to everyone and doing that in advance. Number 7, confirming final details with vendors the week prior. 8, creating a photo shot list and designating a photo captain. Number 9 is confirming your post-wedding transportation, accommodation, arrangements, whatever it is you're doing, you're going to reconfirm that. And number 10, a week or 2 out, is getting a breakdown, creating a detailed, checkable packing list. By addressing these often overlooked details, you can prevent last-minute stress, which is the worst for your skin and your attitude, and help your wedding day run much more smoothly. Okay, so what did I miss? DM me and let me know. I'll chat with you again next week. That about wraps it up for this episode of the Unbridely podcast. For the links and resources we mentioned, please head to the show notes. And if you love the show, please review and subscribe on the podcast platform you're on now so you don't miss out on a single episode. Thanks so much for listening. And remember, weddings are a team sport. Catch you soon.